Cool season grasses get renovated in late summer, warm season grasses early summer. As I mentioned before, there are a few things that need to be done ahead of the actual renovating process. Harping on soil the entire video, you can probably guess what the first step is when renovating your lawn. Remember, the results of your soil test will outline the direction of your personal program. It takes a few weeks to get the results, so you want to get that sample into the lab as soon as possible. The sooner you add the amendments according to your results, the better. Take a stroll around your lawn and make observations. Are there a lot of weeds? Any spraying of weeds should be done as early as possible before the project begins. Just make sure the weed is actively growing. After viewing this section and you have an idea of when you're going to start your project, try to schedule what day you're going to aerate your lawn. 24 hours before that, you want to start brewing a compost tea with mycorrhizal spores added towards the end of the brew. This way you can spray down into the root system after you aerate. Don't forget to order your tested compost and have it delivered. Remember, 1 square yard per 1,000 square feet. This is one time you're going to want to cut your grass short. You're going to beat up your lawn pretty good with this process, so you don't have to worry too much about the height of the grass. If you can, gradually start cutting it shorter a couple of weeks ahead of time in preparation. How does the thatch look? It's a good practice to remove any thatch before overseeding to ensure good soil to seed contact. Okay, now we have a pretty clean surface with most of the weeds gone, the thatch removed, and the lawn cut relatively short. Now we're going to aerate. You want to do a very thorough job with this. It's not unusual for me to go over a lawn 3 to 4 times when renovating. This will allow the compost to get into the soil. Don't worry about making a mess. It's all good. If you think you have extra grass seed, you can put down a light layer now. It's not necessary, as we'll be putting it down again later. It's just sometimes effective to get some seed into the holes in under the compost layer. Your lawn should be littered with soil plugs, and this is when we want to apply our compost tea with mycorrhizal. Get it into the holes as best as you can. The better job you do now, the more beautiful your lawn will be. Cover the entire yard trying to hit all the holes. Depending on your schedule, another compost tea with mycorrhizal should be timed with the upcoming seeding process. While that's brewing, we've got to spread our compost. I find best results when flinging it with the shovel like I'm doing here. It might take a few wheelbarrows to get used to it. Remember, after raking it even, it should be 1/3 inch thick. Do not exceed 1/2 inch thick. 1 square yard should cover 1,000 square feet if applied at that depth. This is the toughest part of the project. We're almost done. Remember, applying a layer of compost can be done any time of year as long as the grass is actively growing. It doesn't have to only be done when renovating. It's just nice to aerate beforehand if needed to ensure the organic matter is getting into the soil. Now you have an option. You can use an overseeder, and that machine will embed the seed 1/4 inch into the soil. If you do use this machine, you should go over it twice, the second way perpendicular to the first. I like to apply seed directly on top of the compost, so when I apply my tea, it makes good seed contact. These handheld broadcasters are a nice little tool, and they're not too expensive. I like to apply a little bit more seed than what the bag recommends. Nice, even coverage. You don't want to go through this process again. Apply your tea on top of the seed. Make good contact. Take your time. Do a good job. Now with the back of a rake, just walk the entire surface, pressing the back of the rake down against the soil. This will bury the seed about 1/4 inch deep. Make sure you cover the entire lawn surface. Now we need to roll the entire yard. If you do not have access to one of these rollers, they're inexpensive to rent. Fill it with water 1/4 to 1/2 way. If you feel you need to go over it again twice, that's fine. This ensures the seed adheres to the soil nicely. Now we just spread a nice organic starter fertilizer over the entire surface. Something like a 2-4-2 would work good. Now we put on the sprinkler and we water. And we must keep it moist until the second to third mowing. Not to the point where the water runs off, just moist. In cooler areas, it's a bit easier with autumn approaching. In warm areas, you really need to keep ahead of the game, so be careful. You don't want to waste all that hard work and money on something as simple as watering the lawn.